Okay, great and good. Seems to be famous one day. Nick Dutch here yet again. Continuing my marathon, looking into science and the occult and discussing the methodologies of natural science and trying to apply that to investigating the supernatural to try and find out what is most likely to be true under some circumstances, which is basically the definition of science. Now, the word empirical, not empirical research, but just empirical, according to Wikipedia, denotes information gained by means of observation, experience, or experiment. So, there you go. The word there is experience. Now, if you have a supernatural experience, by that definition, you could regard that as being empirical, and therefore of scientific interest, or of interest in terms of research into the natural world. This article goes on to say, as opposed to theoretical. So you know what a theory is, okay? Empirical is not theory because you've experienced it. I've had certain experiences which are of a supernatural nature, therefore that is, in accordance with this definition, empirical, therefore of interest and importance to the natural world, or relating to the natural world. And of course the word supernatural in this case is just an umbrella term I'm using to like lump together all these phenomena which come under that type of category. It's a loose term. The central concept in science and the scientific method is that all evidence must be empirical or empirically based. Well, of course, as we've already had a look on social science, that's not necessarily the case, because you can do anti-positivistic investigation as well, and we can actually do more analysis in a different method than just empirical designs. But it does say here, empirically based. So you can try and create some experiments which have experience at their core, and then that would still be empirically based. But it would, of course, be the analysis that we do that would make the experiment and the results of the experiment, as we, discover them, to be valid or important or not. It goes on, empirically based, that is, dependence upon evidence or consequences that are observable by the senses. Again, if we're using supernatural ideas, it's not normally measurable by the senses. It's often something which is experienced by the mind, or by certain aspects of your even the imaginary apparatus, and that's essentially where a problem is, because empiricism, as defined here, although it's talking about experience, is also talking about the use of your senses. And of course, in this case, it will just be your five senses. So parts of the definition of empirical actually agrees with investigating into the supernatural in some ways, but in other parts of the meaning of the word empirical does not. But of course, anti-positivistic research would be usable or useful when looking at dream work, astral projection, and similar phenomena, including telepathic investigations as well. Alright, empirical as an adjective or adverb is used in conjunction with both the natural and social sciences, and refers to the use of working hypotheses that are testable using observation or experiment. In this sense of the word, scientific statements are subject to and derived from our experiences or observations. Empirical data, well, okay, there we go again. Experiences or observations. So if that was experiences and observations, we could be stuck, more or less. It says experiences or observations. So again, that would still include supernaturalist-based experiences. Empirical data are data that are produced by experimental observation. Okay, so again, we can be accused of being pseudoscientific if we don't take these things into account. We can be accused of being pseudoscientific if we don't actually look at the meanings of the words which are used by the natural sciences. but we've also got to think carefully about the models of investigation that we're using, bearing in mind that anti-positivism and positivism have both been criticized at various points in their history by people who are trying to investigate different natural phenomena. So it's not that they're both wrong, but it depends upon what you're trying to experiment into and investigate. That's really really where the core of the matter is, and whether the methodology that you have chosen is essentially good enough to give you what you require in terms of usable information. Okay, I'm going to shove the reference in the sidebar as well, so you can have a look at that and then work from it for yourself. Okay. Back in a second. We'll tackle another subject in just a moment. I'm telling you, this is a long video series.